Principal District and Sessions Judge BUDGAM, Chairman DLSA BUDGAM, Mr. Shahbaz Ahmed Mirza, District Commissioner BUDGAM, Mr. Tahir Salim, who is being represented by SB BUDGAM, all the other dignitaries from judiciary, administration, police, media, students, children of childcare institutions, governmental and non-governmental, who have joined us today through work on the topic management of mental health and stress during the times of Covid-19 Pandamic, which is an initiative of District Legal Services Authority, BUDGAM. To commence the proceedings, may I invite Mr. Mohammad Malik, Principal District and Sessions Judge, BUDGAM, Chairman DLSA BUDGAM, to formally welcome our Honorable Chief Guest and the audience.
Good morning everyone and a warm welcome to all of you. Let me start with a man who is a deep thinker, a judge and an able administrator. A man who, despite all serious engagements on the judicial side, has managed to spare time to look after the legal services institutions for their growth and development. A man who has always stood by our side to lead and guide us to achieve the goal of justice for all. A man who has to his credit landmark achievements in the area of improvement of building and other infrastructure of judiciary. A man who is always aware and conscious of the challenges faced by the common man to access justice, to have access to justice through judicial decision making and administrative actions, and has acted tirelessly to bring the altar of justice within reach of the most deserving and least cared of. With all these traits, I extend a warm welcome again to your Lordship, the Honorable Justice Mr. Ali Muhammad Magray, Judge, High Court of J&K and Executive Chairman, Legal Services Authority of Jammu, under whose able patronage and visionary leadership this awareness program is taking place here. Warm welcome is also extended to my brother, Mr. M.K. Sharma, worthy Member Secretary, Jammu and Kashmir Legal Services Authority, whose collaboration has been instrumental in engineering out our efforts to bring access to justice and the legal awareness across the district. I welcome worthy members of the district administration led by District Development Commissioner Mr. Shahbaz Ahmed Mirza for collaborating with the District Legal Services Authority BUDGAM, of which is a part also, and providing full administrative assistance in making this event a success. A warm welcome is also accorded to Dr. Nasir Ahmed, Additional Deputy Commissioner, the District Information Officer, the District Social Welfare Officer, the Child Development Program Officer and the Chief Medical Officer, BUDGAM. I welcome Senior Superintendent of Police, represented by Mr. Gawar Ahmed, Mr. Tahir Salim for being part of this program and for providing unconditional assistance whenever it is required. Equally, I also welcome my colleagues in the subordinate judiciary. Foremost among them is brother Mr. Sunil Sangra, Additional Deputy Sessions Judge, the Chief Judicial Magistrate Mr. Shabir Malik, Mr. Anup Sharma for his special appearance and presence here. Is a sub-judge and holding presently CPC in charge, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Fozia Pal, special District Legal Services Authority Secretary, Mr. Jahangir Bakshi, Ms. Uzma Amin, and all others who are present here from the judicial fraternity. I especially welcome today's all important speakers, Dr. Yasir Hassan Rathar, Professor in Department of Psychiatry, GMC Srinagar, in charge Addiction Center, Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. who has been working extensively on the addiction services of Kashmir since past 10 years and has a numerous international and national publications to his credit. Equally important is another speaker, Dr. Arshid Hussain, who has joined this program online as an expert. Dr. Arshid is professor in the Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience in Srinagar. He too is a celebrated name in the profession, who has also established himself as a reliable authority in the field of neuroscience, having equally to his credit numerous prestigious fellowships and publications. We know that primary intent behind the holding of this program, this awareness program, is to disseminate the information about management of good mental health in these tough and oddest times of global pandemic, the entire globe like never before in the human history. Such a catastrophe brings with itself new challenge for mankind to come out ever so stronger. The psychological ramifications of constant isolation and stagnation can be enormous, and hence taking care of mental health becomes more important. Your Lordship has been a constant guide, having the long experience of being at the helm of affairs and understands very well challenges faced by the common man. During this extremely challenging times of Covid-19 pandemic, it is possible that today's all-important awareness program is your Lordship's brainchild, to which we are highly indebted. Lordship is very serious and energetic always in execution of the matters. It is on the judicial side or the administrative side. I will quote just two examples of my experiences. I was at BUDGAM, I was at Kulgam rather, so far as I was convened as far as the infrastructure committee, of which I was a part as the principal judge of Kulgam. The project for the execution of the new district court complex Kulgam was in the pipeline but was in doldrums for the last 2 years. His Lordship convened a meeting through me, and the then director was in charge, also having the additional charge of the director, who was probably posted as additional secretary in housing department. But as far as the process of tendering the allotment of funds was concerned, it was so much delayed that we could not do anything at so far as the execution side of the Kulgam is concerned. But His Lordship's efforts were so effective in one meeting only. He asked the gentleman who also participated in that meeting as to whether he is in a position, whether he would be doing justice if he hold two positions. He too was an upright officer. He straightway said, "No, I can't, Lordship." Then His Lordship asked him to lay this request and a recommendation that immediately this assignment should be made full-fledged to anyone who is competent to deal with it. Within 1 week, the assignment, the same officer was posted as director of the housing and within the next week, we got the tendering process complete and the execution is done. Equally important is on the judicial side. His Lordship is conscious of sometimes the slackness and delays and that do happen in the judicial process also. We should concede to that extent. But His Lordship is very much conscious of that side as well. In one of the proceedings before His Lordship, I think it is some days back, His Lordship asked for the appointment of a committee comprising the Principal Judge Kulgam, then the Deputy Commissioner Kulgam and SSP Tahir Sahib. He was also part of it. Judicial proceeding was pending before His Lordship. He asked us to go into it and see that, to explore the possibilities of the settlement. But at the same time, His Lordship provided in that order to regulate us also. No doubt we felt burdened because the Deputy Commissioner was somewhere in some other job. I phoned him, I WhatsApped that order to him also. Similarly, the district superintendent. But anyway, we had to assemble and conclude within 2 or 3 hours the proceedings and to lay our report by the morning at 10:30. That is, we must have that
that is our pleasure to have His Lordship at the seat, at the helm of the affairs. And we hope that that enthusiasm would continue as long as we are here in the system also, and would be carried hereafter when His Lordship reaches permission. Therefore, with all these, with this, I extend again a warm welcome to His Lordship for being part of this program, having consented despite engagements to preside over this program, which is of great essence and importance here. I part with the ardent hope again that this event would prove a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your welcome address. We all are living in turbulent times and compacted by COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, the issue of mental health is not only relevant but crucial. Mental health is more than the presence or absence of a mental illness. It is a crossword between emotional, psychological, and physical well-being. Since last year, people have been facing serious challenges to their mental health. Along with the health impacts of the disease, the COVID-19 has led to self and social isolation, disconnection from family and friends, quarantine, and lockdowns on movement, resulting in feeling of helplessness, isolation, grief, anxiety, and depression amongst people, particularly amongst children. Hence, to educate our audience on the management of mental health and stress during the times of COVID-19 pandemic, may I request Dr. Arshad Hossain, Professor, Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, GMC Srinagar, who has joined us through virtual mode today, to kindly share his knowledge on the topic with the audience. I request the IT staff to connect us with the speaker. Sir, please. Dr. Arshad, you can proceed. Please unmute your mic, Dr. Arshad.
Assalamu alaikum. Honorable Justice Mr. Magray sahab, Honorable Justice Mr. Ashraf Malik sahab, Deputy Commissioner BUDGAM Mr. Shahbaz Mirza sahab, SP BUDGAM Dr. Asir, and all dignitaries. Very good morning to everybody. It's indeed a pleasure to be here talking about COVID mental health. We did various programs last year, and it's very, very different with mental health. And this year, things are very, very different. I have deliberately kept a picture in my background, and this is a picture of hope. This picture is of smallpox vaccination. At one point of time, smallpox used to take around 500 million lives per year. And you all would be pleased to know that this illness is no more on the earth. Human beings, with help of science, have been able to eradicate this illness from the earth. And that is the power of science. We should be really hopeful that these are dark times and they will not last. And no dark times ever last. These are difficult times, but they will not last. But said that, I understand that these have been very, very difficult times for human beings globally. And I, in fact, am somebody who used to start saying that we had a triple epidemic going on together. We had a COVID pandemic. With that, we had a mental health epidemic. ever. And with that, we had epidemic of economic deprivation. And all these three are fueling each other. You know the scenario in the rest of the world last year was very, very bad in terms of mental health. We at our place in Kashmir were much better than the places we had data from. Our Institute of Mental Health was in the field because we actually had both physical as well as online modes going on, and the service of mental health continued from the last March to now. Last year we saw around 77,000 patients from March to December in a physical room and around 45,000 consultations in online mode. But most of them actually were usual stuff, usual mental health issues which arise here, which is depression and all other illnesses which people used to come with. And COVID effects were very, very minimal. Even though lots of people will talk about it, but if we were at the ground, you actually see that the effects are not so huge. And probably the result was because of that. The mortality and morbidity in the community did not go that high. And there's a plateau of this mortality and morbidity that is spread over a period of time. There were certain groups which last year had this. One, that whenever a COVID death happened, those families, and especially those families where the COVID death happened and the disease was younger, and especially those families where the COVID death happened and they were not able to grieve, we usually do counseling. Because you know that what COVID pandemic did is that our coping mechanisms, particularly in the cultures like ours, of social networking and social bonding, were just cut down. We understand that the process of grief in our cultures is very, very elaborate. Hundreds and thousands of people visit people who have a grief. They share their grief not only physically, but by being very empathetic, talking to them, and that lessens the burden of the grief on these people. But what happened at this point of time, I am about to know that COVID deaths became particularly initially highly stigmatized deaths. As they became highly stigmatized deaths, people could not grieve in ways they culturally used to. They were left themselves to fend off for everything, including grief. And that led to certain mental health issues. Then there was a group of people who actually had predisposition or who already had existing mental health issues. They also did succumb. And that is what we usually saw. And besides that, we saw a particular group of mental health issues happening in elderly people. And elderly people who actually got admitted in hospitals in COVID times did not succumb but made it. And once they reached home, many of them actually developed problems of memory and other things. And that's what we saw COVID last year. And that generated lots of hope in us. In all the lectures, in all the talks I did last year, I was very hopeful about the mental health. Perhaps we are not going to be good. Probably our mental health is going to be better. Just focus on limiting mortality and morbidity because of COVID, we will be fine inside. But this year, I can't share the same optimism. The last 2 months, there is no day our hospital do not see at least 3 to 5 patients per day with a COVID-related mental health issue. And all of us know why. Because the peak happened so fast, the deaths happened so fast, the people had to take care of their young ones, the older ones, the young deaths increased. In the hospitals, people were left to fend for their own. There was no support, as usually happens over a period of time. And there really was, the picture seemed to be very things seem to be happening, things seem to be really bad. And the reflection of that was seen in the hospitals as well. We did see this here already, that COVID has started threatening us. I'm not saying that it is still very, very huge, but the effects seem to be much more than the last year. Generally, when people tell me that all of us are fearful, when people tell us that all of us are fearful, there's an answer to that. Fear is an innate emotion of human beings. We have to be fearful. We have to understand being fearful does not mean that we have a mental issue. We have to be fearful. Human beings from their history and prehistory have been fearful in situations which are allied to us. And that's why we as human beings are surviving on this earth. Because we got fearful at particular times when we had to. Whether it was ice age, whether it was scourges of nature, whether it was diseases and death, people got fearful and they used that fear to survive. So the first best mental health care for any human being who is living in the pandemic is accept that this is a period of survival and not a period of extravagance. Please do not go for extravagance, and by that I mean picnics, enjoy. You have to curtail down on that. This is the period of survival. So accept that this is the period of survival and I have to live a little bit differently. That acceptance is a fundamental issue. And the second important thing is that you will be a little bit fearful. Yes, we have to be fearful. And how do we utilize that fear? We have to utilize that fear in masking ourselves, in maintaining distances, in doing whatever is necessary, but not doing what's not necessary at this point of time. Have to big marriage, big party, it's not the time to do that. So we have to be fearful not to do these things. So utilize that fear in doing all things which will limit mortality and morbidity. And by mortality and morbidity, I actually mean illness and death. And when we limit illness and death, we preserve the mental health. So I do it again and again. We accept that these are the periods of survival. Number one. Then, number two, accept the fear as a normal emotion at this point of time. And number three, we utilize that fear in goodness. We utilize that fear to actually do things which are needed to be done to keep our mental health problems. And those things seem to be very, very physical, not really psychological, which actually means that there are masks, you have to not do extravaganza, you do not have to do parties, you will have time to do all that. And now the fourth thing has been, please go for vaccination. So once all is done, this period will not last. There will be light at the end of the time. Now, said that all, some of us do still get fearful much more than the usual people do. And they need to be careful about that. We can start with very simple things. I have talked about it many times. You don't need to do very, very big things to actually preserve your being. You need to do very, very simple things. And by simple things, I mean to say that please maintain a consistent level of breathing. And what does that mean? That means that when I get up in the morning, what people usually do, pray, take breakfast, walk, do all those things. Keep yourself as busy during the day as possible within these things. Now, you might not be able to, some of you might not be able to go out, start reading books, develop new hobbies. And please avoid all these news channels, these hyperbolic news channels which do not exercise any discretion, which show us blurry pictures of death and destruction every day. Human beings are not at all to see death and destruction every day. That gets you very, very stressed. Please avoid that. Because there is no news. News actually means something new thing. The things we know are the things which are in the pandemic. wear a mask, create a distance, do not do lots of parties and backstage. They are the things which were actually known in first pandemic. They are the things which have been told to people from on the first day of this pandemic. There is no news now. There is no new thing. So what is happening is that we indiscreetly see these hyperbolic channels. The families along with the kids also watch this, and that is what gets you into extra doses of fear. That gets into the kind of fear which you get overwhelmed with, which disturbs your sleep, which makes you anxious. Just stick to the basics and avoid these all talks. We in this pandemic have been blessed by certain things which other pandemics did not have. If other pandemics had to do social disconnectedness, they had to live in caves, they had to live in houses, and they could not connect to anybody. They did not know what happened to their relations, brothers and sisters. But you are lucky ones. You human beings at this point of time are lucky ones. We have connectedness. We can connect it to our mobiles. We can connect it to so many means. You could talk to each other without actually being there. In other times, in normal times, I was a huge banger of this, that we should be in the virtual worlds. I really believe that all of human beings, we are Homo sapiens, and Homo sapiens have to be in real world, talking to each other, taking coffee with each other, having with friends, going to each other. I'm a real fan of our culture, because I think our culture preserves our mental health. But at this point of time, I'm somebody who advocates that please do not do that. Please do not do that extravaganza. Please call your friend and do not talk only COVID. Please do talk other things as well. You have a lot to share, you have humor to share. And I tell you that humor is one of the natural defenses. Enjoy within the parameters we are in. I'm not saying that we accept. So you could talk, you could actually relate to your friend, you could actually have a video call with him, and you could ask his about what we say, and he will ask you words, and that will preserve the mental health. Be connected with people. And if there is somebody who actually is in need, who has death in the family, who has hope, please do make sure to call them. Please do make sure that if they have any physical needs, please do go and do it. Easily prepare food at your home and deliver at their home. That will not give us COVID. We could easily talk them if they need medicine, that give it them. And that is what we find is that the new patients I told you we are seeing are families which were left alone, finding for everything. So they needed medication, there was nobody to get that medication. They were while in the hospital, there was nobody else to take care. So all burden on people. Then the death of one family happened. When that death had that whole burden during that time, when that death happened, there was nobody to share that death. And that's what I saw is breaking the mental health. That's probably what we could do better and preserve mental health. Support these families in terms of their physical needs. Do whatever is possible within the safety parameters. And that will actually probably help in the preserving the mental health of common man. As I understand that there is, this particularly this program has a dimension for some kids. So I'll type that and then let the Priyas actually to do further talking on that. About kids, I tell you that kids basically by birth, by born, they are not fearful. They imbibe fear from their adults. So even if you have to talk about death, please keep your kids away from that. And talk safety to the kids in a way which is appropriate. And I usually give this example. When I teach my kid how to cross a road, I do not show him an accident first. Road traffic accident, to teach him that how do you walk across a road. I tell him, see right, see left, see right again, walk. And I make him understand safety. So it is not necessary to show them these moving pictures. You could actually talk them in a way that they understand fear. And do not put lots of pressure on them. Because what happens is I have seen that within the biologics, and biologics means that within the families, for example, there are 10 kids. Please let them play with each other. There's no way of differentiation terms, there's no way of being protected them otherwise as well. Let them play within their compounds. Let them not feel that fearful. We also know, and there is story be struck very badly by the illness. The only problem is that they might get the adults. Keep them away from the elderly, the family, but let them work within the reasonable. There's been lots of criticism about these online classes, but I have a different take on this. Point one that I agree with many of the criticisms which have been done. Criticisms which will mean that, for example, the criticism that it might harm the eyes, people might get into the phones. Fine, I understand them as a mental health professional, and I had the same take on all these things related to the pandemic. But I again go back to think that this is pandemic times. This is not normal times we're talking about. The means of education, I'm not bothered about literacy. That kids know what will happen now, we lose time. Oh, I'm not that sort. I don't think schools make us educated. There are lots of other things which are very important to make us educated. But what's important, that kids get connected to these gadgets. And I saw lots of these with my own kids, with others as well, that how teachers talk to them. It's not about education. If you are actually making your kid to sit 6 hours on front of laptop, that is problem of the parents, not the kids, not the system. My kid sits in the morning and there are toys all around. As soon as her name is called, that's when she stands up. The rest of the time she's playing with her dolls. I get 3 SMS every day that she is this class, I have not bothered, never told her that. It's fine. The part of it she enjoys is fine, the part of she does not enjoy is fine. But she comes in the morning and says, Baba, I have a class. I want to be there. That makes her happy. Happiness is more important at this point of time. Eyes will be saved, inshallah. There's no problem. We have 2-3 hours. No, it gets limited of its own. The only thing the parents behave. Parents do not force them to be on that laptop. She will not have that much attention that she's stuck 6 hours on the laptop. No hours she can have that much. But if you are stucking her to the laptop, it's your problem. But let the online classes go. They might not be making them more literate. They might not be, but they definitely are enjoying the presence of other kids. They definitely are enjoying the presence of other teachers. And let me tell you, most of the world, when these kids will become doctors, engineers, whatever, they will have to work for laptops. You like it or not, you can't take this world backwards. Now, I am not a huge fan of this kind of technology. I would have loved that in right. I would have loved that, but now that doesn't happen. The doctor residents they keep on typing on their laptops. So that's how they do. So please have reasonable degree of, understand that we are living pandemic, and then allow our kids to do all things which are in the times that make them happy. And come out from, I would have tried to talk more, but I know there's a limitation of time. Thank you so much for inviting me and letting me talk at this point of time. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Dr. Saab, we are thankful to you.
Sir, am I permitted to leave? Because
Yes, because see, we can't ever keep you on, because we know you have to attend the important assignment and for the betterment of those whom you will consult and those who want your advice. Please.
Lord expressed a special gratitude for you.
Thank you, Dr. Arshad. May I now request our another guest speaker, Dr. Yasir Hassan Rathar, who is Professor and Head of Unit at Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, GMC Srinagar, to enlighten the audience about the management of mental health and stress during the times of Covid-19 pandemic, more particularly towards the younger generation.
It's really an honor to be here and being invited as a speaker. The speaker to talk about mental health, effect of COVID-19 and mental health, and effect of COVID-19 and mental health of children. I really feel humbled to be here and sharing this platform with all the dignitaries who are here. So I think Archit sir has already enlightened us with the mental health issues which we are facing right now. But I will be just my focus will be on them. See, we need to understand COVID-19 is not just a disease. It has its other, there are other factors associated with it. One of the major factors was lockdown. And this lockdown was a public health measure to curtail the disease. But unfortunately, this lockdown had its own implications. It led to financial issues, economic burdens, and in some sector people led to poverty. There were emotional stressors, fear